Okay, let's go ahead and talk about our expression of the day. Now, everybody, let's just practice saying this together. So, our expression of the day is make no bones about something. Everyone, let's say that together. Ready? One, two, three. Make
Make
no
no
bones
bones
About
about
something.
something.
Now, last week we talked about skeletons. So the question is, well, why are we using this expression about bones? Well, first off, guys, the expression has a funny meaning. If you notice, the meaning is to be very sure and definite about something. So that means I definitely know. When I use this expression, it means I have no doubt. I know exactly what the situation is. So, for example, if you look at the little cartoon over here, if you see my little cartoon, here's a doctor, right? And who is the doctor talking to in this cartoon? Who is this character? Who is this person? Does anybody know?
Um,
Maybe maybe we've seen him in movies or cartoons or
Scary, scary man.
well, he's a little more specific than just scary.
Yeah, it
the
was in
dead.
a scary movie.
Aha! There we go,
Yes,
Gisela gave us the answer. It is death.
yeah.
This figure represents death. Now, actually, he has a specific name. Here in the United States, we call him the Grim Reaper. So if you notice that
Yeah.
little tool, you see that little tool that he has here? That's called a scythe. And when you go and like into the fields and you cut corn or you cut wheat, you use this scythe, and that's called reaping. So basically, death here, when he comes to your door, he's reaping you. He's taking you because you're going to die. So again, I know this is just a scary, kind of thing, but it's also just a joke. But still, if you notice, the bottom of the cartoon says, "Make no bones about it, you're dead." So, so notice the doctor's talking to death, and he says, "Well, I think we'll have to look at the X-rays, but I think you're dead." So in this case, notice the expression, make no bones about it. Make no bones about your situation. You're dead. So in this case, this expression means when I say make no bones about it, it means this is my opinion, and I strongly feel this way. Okay? Now, some people have explained where does this expression come from. Honestly, there are lots of different possibilities. So I'm not going to try to explain them. But the idea is that this is what the expression means. Okay, so let's talk about our chat question for the day. So our chat question is, how do we use this expression in everyday life? Well, we use this expression a lot to show our opinion or feeling about something. But notice, especially when we are not happy about something. So do you see my example here on the screen? Everybody see my example? Let's see, Bune, would you read my example here for me? Can you do that for me?
Yeah, he make no bones about his unhappiness with the restaurant's food. He complained to the manager.
Now, Bune, does this happen to you sometimes? Do you have customers sometimes who might complain?
Yes.
Yeah, so what do you do in that situation?
We figure out what's problem with they complain about the food or about
Mhm.
the service. If about the food, we usually not charge for them. What's problem. If the
Mhm.
service, we just for the power dry and we talk to the service.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen a lot, right?
Yeah, right. Thank
But
you.
sometimes customers sometimes will tell you this soup is too cold or this food is this or yeah. Some people are
Sometimes
just
it happened. They true. Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody have a different flavor, so
Yeah.
they may be true. So
Yeah. So guys, all right. So thank you, Bune, for reading the example there. So notice we use the expression to show how we're not happy about something. So often when people say I made no bones about my problem with this restaurant, right? Or my problem with this new iPhone or this product. Okay? Okay, so guys, here's the question of the day. When you are unhappy about something or someone, maybe you're at a restaurant, or maybe you bought something and you didn't like it. what do? Do you make no bones about the situation and tell the person how you feel, or are you too nice and you try to be polite and not complain? Okay, so you can use the mic or the chat box to answer. So if you have a problem, if you have a complaint, do you make no bones about it? Do you tell the manager or the person who's working there, or do you just smile and not complain? So who would like to start? Who would like to tell us what they do? Before we move on, if you remember last session, we learned an expression that was very similar to this one, to make no bones about something. Does anybody remember that expression? We learned an expression kind of very similar, where you give your opinion about something, especially if you're not happy. Does anybody remember that? I know it was a few weeks ago. Anyone? Anyone? I'll give you some free ice cream if you can guess. Shihu, any idea?
I think we are said in the last week about skeleton in the clothes, not about bones.
No, this was last session. This was like last month.
Yeah.
We learned an expression that was kind of similar in meaning to this one.
I think I mind.
Oh, you're so close. You're close. You're close. The word mind is in it.
If you don't mind.
Oh, you're close, but that's not it. Here you go. Okay, ready, guys? I'll help you. Ready? The expression was dun, da, 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 to give someone a piece of my mind. Do you remember it now? Kind of, Mr. John. Well, if you remember last session, we mentioned when you give someone a piece of your mind, it means you tell them what you're thinking. You tell them your opinion. So if you remember, this is something we discussed, about a month ago. So it was a long time ago. But you were close, Shiho. So I'll give you half.
Of my mind.
So Shiho, I'll give you half of a scoop of ice cream. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. So.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. Well, once again, the expression we are talking about today is make no bones about something. So let's say that one more time. Ready? Make no bones about something.
No bones about something.
Make no bones about something.
Yes. So once again, remember the expression means to be very definite and sure, to give your opinion, no doubt, make no bones about this. This is like my opinion. So again, as we said, most of the time, we use this expression to show when we're not happy. So I make no bones about the bad service here at this restaurant, or I make no bones about this terrible product that I bought. Okay. All right, guys. Well, let's move on to our lesson for today. Now, once again, I do hope that everyone had a chance to read the story. Now, we're not going to talk much about the story here today. Instead, what I want to do is talk a little bit about how to be a better reader. That's really what we need to be, because we want to be a better reader. But the problem is that often when we read, we don't always understand all of the words in the story. Now, I do hope that everyone was able to understand most of the story, okay? But what I'd like to talk about here this morning is something I like to call active reading. Everyone, you can just say that. You don't have to turn on your microphone, but you can just say it there at your phone or computer. Active reading. Okay? All right, so the question is, what is active reading? What does that mean? Well, active reading is a way to read a text using some of the same things we do when we are speaking. So, for example, we're speaking right now, but many students don't see, well, Mr. John, speaking and reading are two different things. Well, you see, we can help be better readers, but we can think about, well, for example, when we talk to each other, we have a conversation, right? So if we don't understand something, we can talk to each other. Well, this active reading is similar to having a conversation, but not with another person. It's with the text, with the book or the magazine or whatever you are reading. Now, some of you, again, for my students who were with me last year, we talked a little bit about this process. So for everyone who is new this year, this is, I think, a very interesting way to be better readers. Now, later in the session, we're going to try some real active reading. We're going to demonstrate it, and believe it or not, we can do it online. Now, but first, you're probably thinking, Mr. John, you can't talk with a book. You can't do that. Books don't talk to you. Well, here's what I say. Are you ready? I say, yes, you can. You can have a conversation with the book. Now, everyone here in this group here, if you read in your language, right? If you read in your language, well, in a way, you are talking to yourself. You're talking in your brain, thinking about what you're reading. What we want to do in this class is to learn how to do this in English. So what I like to tell students is reading can be like a conversation. You can do it, but you just need to know how to do it. That's the important thing, okay? Now, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But let's think for just a moment. So since we speak all the time. So let's take an example. When you're having a conversation with somebody and you don't understand something. So let's take a look at this sample conversation. Now, here's what I would like to do. Lilia, you're going to be the woman in this conversation. Is that okay? Okay?
Yeah.
All right, and Luana, you're going to be the man in this conversation. All right? Can you do that, Luana?
Yes, I can, Mr. Jones. Fine.
All right, so Luana, can you talk like this?
No.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. All right, so Lilia, you begin. You're the woman in the conversation. So Lilia, please begin.
So, as I was saying, did you figure out the problem?
Okay, now Luana, you are thinking.
Figure it out. What does that mean?
So, for example, the person uses a phrase or word you don't understand. So you think, well, what does that word mean? Okay, let's continue. So the question here is, what would you do here? What are your choices? Okay, so Olena, can you read these choices for us? Are you ready, Olena?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
ready.
so please read.
You have three choices here. Be confused and smile and continue the conversation. Ask the person what they mean.
And number 3?
Run away.
Which one would you do, Elena? 1, 2, or 3?
Ask the person what they mean.
Congratulations. You wouldn't run away, would you? Of course not. Yeah. All right, so let's continue. All right, Lilia and Luana, let's continue.
You look confused.
Yes, what is figure it out? I don't understand that.
Okay, so good. Now you hope the person will help you. All right, let's continue.
Oh, sorry. Understand, fix the problem.
Oh, yes, I fixed the problem.
All right, okay, first off, congratulations, everyone. Let's clap for Lilia, Luana, and Olena. Congratulations. Great acting, great acting. Okay. Okay, now what I wanted to demonstrate here, everybody, is in conversation, when you see or hear a word or phrase you don't know, now you've got some choices. Now, remember when you were beginning English students, you probably just smiled a lot, right? Is this you in a conversation? Uh-huh, uh-huh. Did you do this a lot in a conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now that your English is getting better, now I hope you will take a moment and say, I'm sorry. What does that mean? Or could you say that again? Or could you say that a different way? That's what I hope. because that's a lot of what reading is going to be. It's going to be trying to find a way to figure out, there's that phrase, to learn the meaning of something. So guys, when we don't understand a word or a phrase, we look for help. That's what I want you to think about. Now, in a conversation, we can ask the other person to explain. Now, it might be embarrassing. Listen, guys, a couple of weeks ago, I embarrassed myself. I was having a conversation with one of the students who was registering for the session, and I was speaking in Spanish, and I could not remember a word. I couldn't remember it. It was a simple word. Now, I speak Spanish, I read Spanish, but it's been a long time since I've done this. Oh, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, so the good news is her friend was in the car with her, and I said, excuse me, how do you say this word in Spanish? So she helped me. Now, it was embarrassing a little bit. I mean, I used to be a Spanish teacher, but even teachers forget stuff, right? I mean, it's been a long time. So the key, though, is I asked for help. Well, that's what you need to do with reading. We can do the same thing. Now, we can look for help. We can look in the reading itself. See, that's difficult, but we can. Or we can look in the dictionary, or we can even ask a friend. Okay, now, but the truth is we don't always have friends sitting around to help us. Now, what I would like to do this morning is I'm going to demonstrate for just a moment the different things we can do to help us when we see words we don't know. Now, my first opinion here, guys, is the dictionary is great. I know many of you, I see you using the translators on your phone or the dictionary on your phone. But if we really want to remember and understand something, we're going to try to look at the reading first. Okay, so that's what I want to do a little bit here this morning. So let's use some of the parts of the story to help demonstrate this. Okay, so I'm going to go to the story, but actually we're going to look at just parts of the story. Okay, so it'll be here on the screen now. Does everybody see that? So first off, the first word I want us to talk about is the word perplexed. So when you were reading the article, maybe you saw this word and maybe you thought, I don't know this word. Now, first off, everyone, let's say it. Perplexed.
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 Okay. Now, if you know this word, don't say anything. Okay, don't tell us anything right now. So if you know it, congratulations. But let's assume for just a moment we don't know it. Okay. So if we don't know the word, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to do a little bit of collocations. Now, you might remember collocations are words that work together. So the first thing I'd like to do, I'm going to pull up my pen. Okay, so let me pull up my pen. And let's look at some information before and after the word. Now, the first problem, as you see, is that this is a very short sentence. Sally is perplexed. So the problem is we don't have a lot of help in the sentence itself. So for example, we notice that, well, Sally is the one who's perplexed. Now, when we think about the story, the question here is, well, who is Sally? What is she doing? Well, if you remember, Sally is the little girl, right, who kind of is the main person in the story. Now, so we started in the sentence itself, and there's not a lot there to help us. But if we look at the sentences before and after the sentence, so let me read a little bit. Okay, everyone, just follow for just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to read this whole paragraph for just a moment. So the girl stops and looks at her in surprise. Now, the girl is not Sally. There are two people here, right? So the girl says, "Me, Lee," she says. Then she turns and runs outside. Sally is perplexed. Who were the children, she thinks? Why did they run from the kitchen? And what is Me, Lee? Now, if you noticed, I identified something interesting here. After the word perplexed, what does she do? What does Sally do here? Who were the children? Asking questions. So when someone is perplexed, they often ask questions. That's a good thing to remember. Now, guys, I'm going to stop here for just a moment. I looked at the text. I looked at some information. Now, maybe that's enough. But for many of us, maybe we say, okay, Mr. John, I might still need the dictionary, or I might still need some help. Okay, well, guess what? I have looked in the dictionary for you. So let's look at the next slide. And here is the definition of perplexed. Okay, so if you notice here, here are a couple of just uses, more perplexed, most perplexed. But here is the definition. Are you ready? Here's what it says. Unable to understand something clearly or to think clearly. Okay, what do you see, that next word?
Confused.
Confused. Do you think Sally was confused at this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, because is that girl, was that a real girl?
It was a ghost.
It was a ghost. Ooh, right? Ghost of Dotson Hall. It's the name of the story, right? Now, look at my two examples here at the bottom. He gave her a perplexed look. So, for example, when I use the word perplexed, we can use a perplexed look, right? So, yeah, kind of a lost kind of thing. Now, look at this next one. The explanation left me thoroughly perplexed. Sometimes when people explain something and you're more confused after the explanation, does that happen sometimes to you? Do you feel more confused sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes.
Like what happened with the, do you mind?
Right. Maybe sometimes Mr. John leaves us perplexed, right? What did Mr. John mean? What is he saying? Okay. Yeah, sometimes, come on.
We are good.
Well, sometimes, come on, teachers can be confusing. Okay, well, anyway, so there we go, guys. We have our first new word. Perplexed means confused. So the idea here is we saw the word in the text, we looked at some of the text around it, and then we went to the dictionary. The dictionary is okay, but sometimes we can guess, maybe without the dictionary. Sometimes we can. But keep in mind, what I want us to do first is to look at the text. Look at the story first, because the good news is if you look at the story and talk about it, maybe you'll remember it better. All right, let's do another one. Okay, let's do another one. I'm going to go to the next screen here. Okay. Now I've circled this next word here. So let's kind of again look at the text. So I'm going to continue. It says Sally enters her bedroom. A girl is there. It's the girl from the kitchen, and she's looking under the bed. Where is it? She says quietly. Where's what? asks Sally. She's very curious about the girl. The girl stands up immediately. She goes silently to the window. Okay? Now, everyone, let's say that word, curious.
Curious.
Okay? Now, again, before we think about the dictionary, what words can help us about the word curious? Let's start with just the sentence. So just the sentence where it says, she's very curious about the girl. Are there any words there that might help us in understanding the meaning of curious?
I have a questions about the girl.
Okay, well, that's definitely before. Yeah, that's before the sentence. Okay.
Under the bed.
Okay. Sergey mentioned I must learn about something.
She asked something. She had a
Right. She was confused, so she asked the question. Yeah, and notice she was curious.
surprise.
Yeah, so she was curious about the girl. She was surprised.
She's surprised.
That's right. She's surprised.
She wants to know the girl more.
So now.
She feels a secret. She wants to know more information.
Okay, so when we're curious, we want to know. Okay, so I'm going to put this at the bottom. We want to know something. Okay. All right, so I think we have created a definition by ourselves. Yeah. Now, again, maybe you knew this word already, but the idea here is now we can look at the text to think a little bit more about the meaning. Right, excellent. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, now, again, this first word here, maybe you've seen it before. So if you remember, there's also a boy involved in the story. So it says here, again, I'll read. Hello, she says. Who are you? What do you want? The boy looks frightened. He goes to the window and disappears. The girl approaches Sally. Me, Lee, she says. Where is it? Okay, now again, what information can we use to help us? So for example, with the word frightened, what words before or after? Is there anything that can help us?
What do you want? The word, the question, what do you want?
What do you want? Hey, Vladimir?
What do you want?
Who are you?
The frightened, the word frightened.
Yeah, do you think that might
The word
help?
frightened, the word frightened is like a scare.
Ah, so this is a word we know, right? Scared? Okay.
Who are you?
Who are you? Do you think you would be scared if you saw a ghost in your room?
Yeah.
Of course. We ran away.
Depends. Could be a friendly ghost.
So, no friend with ghosts. No friend with ghosts.
Okay, what about disappears? He goes to the window and disappears. What does that mean?
It didn't phone.
Oh, you're close. Okay.
It didn't phone.
Missing.
We can't see it anymore. We don't know where he go. Like
So kind of leaves and can't see anymore. Okay. I like it. Okay. So when someone disappears, we don't see them anymore. They just leave, right?
Yeah.
Do ghosts disappear?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. They're ghosts, right? That's what ghosts do. They disappear.
Yeah, it disappeared.
Sometimes in the WebEx meeting, we disappear, right? Sergey mentioned melt. Yeah, that's okay. All right. Now, here's another word that, believe it or not, sometimes Americans get this word confused. And this kind of is a little confusing in the sentence. So, for example, I wanted to choose this word for just a moment because this word can be misinterpreted. Look at the sentence. It says, now the room is very cold, and Sally starts to tremble. She looks outside, but there's nobody there. Now, what information in the sentence might help us with the word tremble?
Very cold.
Yeah.
Feeling cold, yeah.
Now, I want to be clear. We don't often tremble when things are cold. So I think this sentence might be a little bit confusing. I think it's cold because there's a ghost. There was a ghost there. But what do you think tremble might mean? Maybe scared?
Or maybe me,
Yeah.
make me shake.
Shaking.
Shake.
Okay.
Shake. Yeah.
Okay, now I hear shake. I think that's probably a good one. But notice, I think the idea is when we tremble, we shake from fear. We shake because we're scared, right? You know, now sometimes you see like cartoons. Maybe your children like to watch cartoons. Maybe you like cartoons. And, you know, the people in the cartoons might go like this, right? Is this you when you see a ghost?
Shake it from feel.
Do we tremble? Do we tremble sometimes? Yeah, actually, we can tremble in other situations too, but usually when we're scared, okay? You guys are doing a great... Yeah. Casper, the cartoon. Casper's a friendly ghost, though, isn't he? Okay. All right, here's the last word I want to talk about, and actually it appears 2 times in the story. It's the word desperate. Desperate. So let's look at the first example. Sally says, she's talking here. Where's what? Shouts Sally. She's frustrated. Tell me, maybe I can help you. The locket, answers the ghost. I'm desperate. Help me. Okay, now what information might help us here? Let's look before and after. What do we see before and after the word desperate?
The answer is the ghost.
Wants the locket.
Desperate.
Okay, well, she wants to lock it. Okay. Yeah, so,
Help
but I
me.
think help me. I think that might be part of it. So, for example, when we're desperate, we might need help.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Okay. All right, let's look at the second example here. I still have something of theirs, Miss Stotson says quietly. I keep it to remember them. It's a locket. A locket? Asks Sally. She's excited now. The girl wants the locket. She's desperate. How did you get it? Okay, now here, what words might help us?
You get it. Mm.
Maybe, but what about before the word? Before, look at the sentence before. What do we say?
Locket. Like
She wants
The
the
girl
the
locket.
girl
wants.
Oh, wait a
wants the
minute.
locket.
She
I
makes
hear it
search
now.
about something.
She needs something. I mean,
Okay.
and she can't find it. So
Okay. Well, for example, when we want help, right? When we want help, isn't this what happens? We're desperate. If we want something and we're missing it and we're looking for it, are you desperate sometimes?
It's upset.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, for example, can't find my keys. Where are my
Yeah.
keys? Where are my keys?
Mm.
Yeah.
My
Right?
phone.
Is this,
Especially if we are in hurry.
yeah. This is some of you every day, right? Okay. All right, Lily, you're cutting out just a little bit on me, so I'm hearing a little bit
Yeah.
of what you're saying. Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's true. I'm laughing.
Okay, good. All right. Well, all I can say, guys, is you're doing a great job so far because now maybe you already knew many of these words, and that's okay. But what I wanted to show you is how we can use the text to help us understand these words better. So again, as we said before, desperate, right, is a feeling when we want something now
We can't get it.
and we can't get it. So let me see if I can keep writing here. Hold on, guys.
Mm.
Sorry, it's a little hard to type. I got all these screens open. Something now, and we can't get it. Okay, I like that. Okay, so guys, I chose some of these words from the reading. Maybe you already knew them. Maybe you looked in the dictionary, but I wanted you to notice something. Notice what we are doing today. So I'm going to return to my presentation because our time is getting away from us. So let's review what we've done so far here this morning. Now, first, did you notice how much we were talking? We were talking with each other. We were talking with ourselves. Well, the reason I wanted to demonstrate this to you is what we are doing today is part of the active reading process. You see, many times when people read, let's think about you. When you're reading, do you read just like moving your eyes? You got the book here and you're just moving your eyes, and then suddenly you fall asleep, right? Is that you? Especially in English?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Now, of course, guys, you don't talk to yourself necessarily when you're reading in your own language. Now, maybe your brain is kind of talking, but most of the time we already understand everything when we're reading in our language. But what I'm trying to show you is we can use the same things we do when we speak to help us learn how to read better. Now, why? Well, guys, think about something. We spend more time speaking in everyday life than reading. True? You speak more English than you do reading, don't you?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So what I'm trying to show you is we can use the way we learn how to speak to help us learn how to read. Okay? That's what I'm trying to show you here this morning. Now, of course, we're taking just one small part, and that is the vocabulary. And what I want to show you today is that we can use some of those same speaking strategies to help us learn new words. Now, again, maybe you knew these words, but here's a big question. Do you use these words? Do you use these words every day? Do you use perplexed or curious or desperate? Probably not.
No.
Yeah,
Just
probably not.
curious.
Maybe curious. Yeah, maybe curious. So what I want to tell you guys here to finish this up here this morning is we are talking about just a part of an interesting process. just talking about these words and just using the dictionary, that's only a small part of making us better readers. What I really want to show you is a bigger problem that students often have. And you know what that problem is? Well, sometimes when we hear new words and we use translations and dictionaries, what happens? It comes in one ear and
And it
then
go out on the other
it
ear.
goes out the other. Now,
That's
guys,
me in English, bro.
that's you. That's you. Okay. Well, hopefully you're not a sheep. Hopefully you look better than this.
With
All right.
English, huh?
Good. Okay. Okay. Now, guys, what I'm trying to teach you here today is if you want to be a better reader, okay, this is true, you have to learn how to read. But more importantly, you have to remember new words. You have to learn more vocabulary. You want to be a better reader? Learn more words. So the question here, Mr. John, how can we make sure we remember them? So today we started the process. So I'm going to finish here very quickly. We have actually been learning something very interesting. So what I'm trying to show you is how can we move from reading to learning? How can we take the words we read today and make them words that we can use? So that's the idea. When you use a translation or a dictionary, it goes,
remember.
yeah, you can't remember. It goes in one word, out the other. 2 minutes later, Mr. John, I don't remember it. So that's what I want you to think about, guys. After a few minutes, we often forget stuff. So that's why I want you to take these words. So Fatiha, that's the idea. We need to use them. You must use them. It takes work. Now, guys, everybody in this group, you might feel young in heart, right? Do you feel like a young person in your heart?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, well, I have bad news for everybody. You are not young in your brain.
In my brain, right?
We are not children anymore. We are not
Yeah.
children. We are not teenagers. We are going to have
true.
to work. Yes, bad news. I'm sorry if you're sad now. No, you're all still wonderful people.
That's the reality.
That is the reality. We are not young
It's
children. So guys, guess what? It means we have to work hard to put these new words into our brains. So what we are actually learning is a process, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you here in just the last part of class, the last couple of minutes. So active reading is a good part of this process. It's the beginning of the process. But if you want to remember them, if you want these words to become a permanent part of your vocabulary, you're going to need to do some work and use these words. So Fatiha, like you said, use them in everyday communication. Now, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes you learn a word and you may never use it. I learn lots of new words all the time, and I don't necessarily use them all the time. But if you want to use them, you're going to have to understand a process. So this process I'm teaching you, I'm actually teaching you two processes today, two things today. Active reading and active vocabulary learning. So let's finish with this little picture. Now, guys, don't worry if you don't catch everything right now. Remember, I record the class, so my advice to you is to go back and watch the class again. But this process I'm going to go through kind of quickly. And don't worry, I'm going to share this slide with you in your email. So first off, you want to find the words. So look for the words in the text. Well, we did that today. That was the first thing we did this morning. Okay, next, we want to try to guess the meaning. We look at the new word, we look at the context and the other words around it. So that's what we did. We tried to guess the meaning by looking at the context. And of course, sometimes we needed to use the dictionary, and that's the next step. Now, do you notice, guys, do you notice something? I put use the dictionary number 3, not number 2, number 3. Number 1, find the words. Number 2, guess the meaning. Number 3, then use the dictionary. Too many times students want to go to the dictionary or go to their translation, and then guess what? Just like the sheep, in one ear, out the other. If we try to guess, now my brain is working. Now, guys, I know sometimes if we're reading, there might be lots of words we don't understand. Well, my advice, my suggestion is maybe that reading is just too difficult for you right now. And that's okay. It's okay. Guys, I read in Spanish, but I don't read in Spanish every day. So sometimes it's difficult. I know. And there are lots of words I don't remember or understand. So that's why I try to read something a little bit easier that I can understand and maybe, again, learn some new words. Now, notice what we did next. We explained the meaning. We talked about it. We explained it to each other. So in this case, now we were sharing. That's important. Now, Fatika, you mentioned using these words in everyday conversation, but you can share these words with your family tonight. You can say, hey guys, I learned some new words. I learned desperate. Desperate means, you want something, but you can't get it. You see? I can share the definition with someone. Okay, but that's still not enough. We want to use them. And that's the last part of this process. Make your own sentences. So make your own sentences and start using the words. And guys, this is going to be our next step.